Hello and welcome to Retirement Today. I'm filling in today for Jenna as she is enjoying the lovely gradient event in Mexico. We sure miss her here, but I'm happy to be filling in. And how are you, Jacqueline?
Well, Priscilla, it is so great to have you on the show today. And I'm good. I feel like can you tell I'm channeling my inner summer? I got my blonde hair back, and if the listeners or viewers, I guess, see my forehead, it might be peeling a bit, but we don't need to talk about that. Priscilla, how are you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, I feel probably the same. I am taking as much time as I can by the pool to work on my tan. I think all of us girls have that in common here that we will take anything we can for a good suntan. So I'm doing good. Happy to
Yeah.
be on the podcast today. I know last week was a super fun episode. And today we're talking about annual reviews with your financial advisor.
Mm.
And how we can make the most of them. I like to say, really, they're just as important as your yearly checkup with your doctor. I know those aren't fun, but we can
Mhm.
make them fun over here.
Yes, yes. Well, and I know, Priscilla, you, from someone who's actually maybe scheduling those meetings, right? You're the one scheduling and talking with clients every day. So, what do you think people maybe misunderstand most about the annual review process?
Yeah, I think one of the things I hear is, "Oh, I don't need to meet. Nothing's changed. I'm happy where I'm at. I trust you guys." And we're extremely blessed and happy that we've created a plan that fits your needs. I think it's totally opposite. Things don't have to change to be able to check in with where you're at.
Yes, yes. All right. So, we're going to start off this episode with some rapid fire. Okay. Are you ready for
Yes.
this? All right.
Yes.
So, there's three questions I have. We'll just go through them pretty quick here. But what are the biggest concerns clients have before they come in?
Yeah. Most of the time, it is just the unknown. Are you on track? Are you going to outlive your money? Can you sleep well at night knowing that you're booking future vacations? So that would be probably a big concern that I hear a lot.
For sure. Number two, what do people apologize for that they don't need to? Oh, I'm an over apologizing person. I apologize for everything. I totally get this one.
Yes. Yeah, well, and it's just that. It's apologizing for asking questions. I think a lot of times people come in and, they say, "Oh, sorry, this might be a dumb question," or "Sorry, you may have went over this before." I think that is why our goal is to have these podcasts and to educate our clients and to come into these annual reviews and really have an open conversation, and it's okay. We all are learning together sometimes.
Yes. Well, I'm sorry. I have one more question. Priscilla, do clients ever think that they need everything perfectly organized?
Oh, yes. I think for us, I mean, I'll throw myself out. Sometimes I'm not all organized 100% in every area of my life. And so
Mhm.
I hear that more often that, "Oh, I don't have this together," or, "That's something I struggle with." And that's okay. I would just suggest maybe take a few, minutes or maybe 30 minutes with your person that you make those financial decisions with and just try to get prepared. Don't stress yourself out over trying to get super organized.
Yes, yes. And I just want to remind, our listeners and viewers that an annual review is not a test. You don't have to go
Right.
into it thinking that you're stressed and, oh, they're going to ask me difficult questions and they're going to, ask why I'm spending money and all this. It is not a test. It's just for your own benefit. And truly none of these things keep them from having really a productive annual meeting.
Right. Yeah. And, at the end of it, we always talk about budgets and we won't even harp on that. If that's something that maybe makes you feel uncomfortable, come in and say, maybe not this time. We might
Uh-huh.
suggest it. But again, it's like you said, it should be something that you look forward to and not dread.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Priscilla, if I'm a client, I know that we briefly touched on what to kind of prepare and what how to prepare best, but what advice would you give me if I were to maybe have a review next week with you?
Yeah, I would first say think about what's changed. Go back through these last couple months. If you do quarterly reviews, if you just do once a year, think about everything that's changed. And then really dive more into that and then bring your questions. I like to tell people, we always have those aha light bulb moments of, oh, I wonder what this is. Write those down. Maybe start a notebook and start writing those questions down, and then don't stress about the paperwork. We do a really good job at keeping everything in the generational vault for you to be
Mhm.
organized. And then lastly, I would say just be willing to update us on those life changes so we can help you navigate through those.
Yeah, great points. And I also just want to point out to, our listeners and viewers, and if you are a client, write down questions that you might have after listening to our podcasts. Those are great questions to bring into a conversation where you're like, "Hey, you mentioned this. Is this maybe an idea for me and my plan?" It's so important to bring those questions up, and it just helps build a better financial plan overall for you.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yes. So Priscilla, now I want to get into maybe some things that clients don't really think about or don't really think about really mentioning. So what are some things that clients maybe forget but is important to tell you?
Yes. Yeah. So kind of thinking about life changes again. So think about, your retirement date. Sometimes we set a goal, sometime life
Mm,
happens, and that has to be changed. So that would be number one. And then also the fun things. Did you have a new grandchild? Are you getting married? Are you planning a
yes.
wedding like Jacqueline? So what are those life changes so that way we can help you create that roadmap to see how we can get you to your goals. And then really lastly, would be moving. Have you moved? A lot of people don't
Mm.
think that that's important for us to know, but truly, that is one of the crucial details that we need.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, if we look at the last, I don't know, 10 years of life, right? And with COVID and everything, I mean, so many things have changed that it's, I know, like my mom, for instance, she didn't plan on retiring, but now she's really like pushing to retire. And if that's in her plan, because, just life changes, work changes, jobs change. And it's so important to bring up everything.
Yeah.
It's never wrong to bring up too much, right?
No, absolutely not.
I like to say that, Jenna and Dave at the office, they're kind of therapists as well
I
as
yes. Yes. I was about to say, truly, I think if you were to take our annual reviews, you could probably chalk it up to 50% connecting with our clients, listening
Uh-huh.
listening to them, giving them advice, sometimes maybe advice we're not licensed for, like you said, therapy. But really, whatever you need us for, we're a listening ear, whether it has to do with your finances or big changes that are hard to digest as well.
Yes, yes. And so I want to get into maybe the details of what happens during a review. So I think some people picture this as just, staring at investment statements or staring at maybe what they did wrong and how they didn't budget well. But what actually happens during these meetings?
Yeah, so kind of to go back, really friendly conversations, right? We really strive to be the most loving and caring financial planner in Overland Park. And so really we get to the root of how are you? How have you been? And really connecting with our clients. But then we go over those life updates to figure out, has your retirement date changed? Are you getting married? Any beneficiary updates? And then reviewing your goals. I think lastly, this is very important. Are you on track? Have we updated your retirement compass? So here we have an awesome report that we can run for you to kind of show you a guide of where you're on track to live. And for a lot of our
Mhm.
listeners, that is one of the biggest worries at night is, are you going to run out of money? And so I think reviewing your goals, your risk tolerance, and really just looking at the whole financial picture and really making sure that you're aligned and you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, and great things to bring up. And I think that that's just a common myth, right? I mean, a lot of people think that when they go to a financial advisor, it's all about investments and what the stock market's doing and how your money is growing or maybe not growing. But the reality of it is it's so intentional and there's so much strategy and, really just life behind those meetings, behind those conversations. And that's why having a financial advisor as a guide and as a person, it's such a personal experience and an individual plan for you and your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the things that people, like we talked at the beginning, you say, oh, the stock market's doing really great right now. And that's awesome. However, there are so many more things that tie in other than just getting you the growth that you're satisfied
Mhm.
with.
Yes, yes. And especially, I mean, we've talked about it on past podcasts too, but just the taxes and different things that go into life planning.
Yeah.
There's so much to include. And it's so important to have an expert in your corner, you
Yeah.
know?
Sometimes adulting is hard. So you need a
Yes.
guide.
Tell me about it. All right. So let's get into maybe some questions that you think maybe, should spark a client to ask. What are some questions that you wish, Priscilla, every client asked you?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost is anything changing that affects me. I think
Mhm.
having these experts in your corner to be watching the tax laws that are coming out to figure out certain stocks that we may want to watch. I think having your team watching all of that is great, but then asking the question, how is this going to affect me? And then really, am I on track? We talked about the retirement compass. Are you okay with your risk tolerance and your retirement horizon? Are you wanting to fast track it and maybe spend some time with your grandbabies? And then, really, what should I be thinking about over the next year? I think this is really important because planning is essential. Should you be saving an emergency fund? Is there anything that maybe we need to know about to help you, whether it's maxing out contributions, 401k movement? Maybe you're stepping away from a job and we need to figure out how to get you reinvested for your 401k. But really, and then your beneficiaries. I think this is
Ooh.
something that people maybe don't bring up enough, only because maybe you have time. You think you have time, or I think it's okay. It never hurts to just do a beneficiary review and ask, where am I sitting with that? Is everyone assigned properly how I would want them to be if I were to pass?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think it's also important to, almost stress test your plan, right? We talk about the stress test and,
Yeah.
provide some sort of foundation or I don't know, ease to your concerns because there are a lot of headlines out. There are a lot of things being said and go into your annual review to ask those questions and say, "Hey, I saw this headline that said this. Should I be concerned? Should I be worried about this? What does this mean for me?"
Yeah, that's a great point. I also want to just say that in the event that something is really stressing you out and you know that you have an annual review maybe a couple months from now, never hesitate to reach out to our team via email or even call us, because we're happy to give you that support in between your annual review, because you are so right. The news causes so much fear and panic. And one of the things I would say is please do not sit with that and reach out to us because we can help you through that.
Yes, absolutely. Do not wait and also, just have that relationship behind money because at the end of the day, money is a lot.
Yeah,
It's a lot to
it is.
handle and it's so important to have somebody in your corner who will have your back and guide you.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, Priscilla, if you could leave clients with maybe one piece of advice before the annual reviews today, what would it be?
Yeah, I think it would be to create this mindset that it's a financial wellness checkup. Instead of feeling like it's just another checkbox that you need to do, I would say really think of it as a way for you to make sure you are okay financially, making sure your financial plan still fits your life and where you want to go today and tomorrow. So I think that would be how I would end it, is just making sure that they really are essential, even though sometimes it may seem like that time is valuable somewhere else.
Yes, absolutely. I love that advice. And, I love this episode because It truly explains maybe the importance, or maybe our listeners and viewers, maybe you're thinking to yourself, I have those same questions, or maybe I should consider doing an annual review. Because all you do is, you show up, right? And you
Right.
miss 100% of the shots you don't, you don't show up
Absolutely.
for. And so just showing up is the first step. So,
Yeah.
how can our listeners and viewers reach your office?
Yes, absolutely. Well, we are available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 by calling 1-800-994-8993. And as I said before, feel free to always send us an email. It's info@beaconwealthadvisory.com. We are happy to give you any type of peace of mind you may need, whether it's setting up a meeting with your financial planner or just seeing what kind of questions we can get answered, whether it's a news article or maybe just life changes.
Well, thank you, Priscilla. And it was such a pleasure to have you on the show today. And listeners and viewers, just remember that, you can search Beacon Wealth Advisory on YouTube to find our beautiful faces and to watch me and see my peeling forehead. Or you can always search, Retirement Today and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music, and don't miss out on new episodes that come out. So thank you, Priscilla. That was a pleasure. And that does it for today's episode of Retirement Today with our host, Priscilla.